is an Unspoiled Network podcast. This is Unspoiled, covering WestWorld, Season 1, Episode 3, The Stray. In this episode, the fuck is going on here? Do we have Reavers on this show? Is that what this is? Listen, I watched this twice and I'm still... Alright. Welcome to Unspoiled.
Into it now, lady.
This thing was real upsetting. Did not care for it. Yeah. Oh man, I'm like, where do I even start on this guy?
At the beginning,
I guess. This episode gives you saying it gives you a bunch of answers is not actually accurate. It gives you a bunch of places to begin theorizing.
Yes.
Is really what it does.
Yes. This is where you kind of go, okay, show, and you walk to your closet and you dust off your old tinfoil hat. And you're like, I guess I'm going to be wearing you now.
Right? So, yeah, we start off here with Bernard, who is, giving Dolores a, what is it, Alice in Wonderland. Which I just feel like, playing with fire over here, buddy. What are you doing? I feel like Bernard is really about to go down a road that does not feel safe or wise or healthy.
What do you mean?
Ford says something about him losing his son, and he gets this look like he's really resentful that this even got brought up.
Right,
basically,
okay.
how do you have the right to even say anything about that to me? But it does feel as if he is hoping to spark some kind of consciousness, despite all of the, nightmarish consequences that could bring.
Right.
And I can't help but wonder if that's not because he's somewhere inside hoping to bring his son back in a way. Maybe he could create his son again, implant his own memories into the kid's head even,
Right.
And
it definitely seems like they have the technology.
Yeah. And I'm not even sure it's gotten far enough in his head for him to, have those thoughts formulated. But I just have a hard time thinking that you would work in this environment where you can basically create full human beings and have lost somebody that dear to you and not have it occur to you. Not somewhere in your subconscious that, well, I could just make a new one. I can replace him somehow.
Right. Do you think that is why? Do you think he is looking for Dolores to show, consciousness is a way, he doesn't want to bring his son back if he's just going to be a host?
Yeah, I think his view of it would be, he'd be bringing back a slave to himself. That serves as a selfish purpose of, I am here so that you can feel better. And I think that he would have a lot of guilt around that. But if he's bringing someone into the world that has their own consciousness, it's just a different kind of human being.
Right.
So I think that's maybe what he's hoping for.
Okay.
I don't know though,
Dolores in this scene it's pretty remarkable because they're having this conversation and he's like, you haven't been talking to anybody, have you?
Right.
And she's like, I said I wouldn't.
Yeah, she says, you told me not to. She doesn't say that she didn't, though. Hey.
And
from one liar to another, I can see what you did there, lady.
But he asked her a very specific question, too. He's like, has anyone done any diagnostics on you?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, no, I've been serviced and cleaned a couple times, but no one has done any diagnostic testing. And he tells her again that she's special. And he seems pretty taken.
Yeah.
With the idea that she is different from the others in some way.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like she is. It's hard to say because everybody's having, well, I'm not everybody. It's hard to know because we only are able to follow like a couple of the hosts, but it feels like she's, I was going to say she's the first one. Her father was clearly the first one, but it almost feels like her father was just there to get the ball rolling with her.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You know what I mean? Like, so...
Like his glitch or whatever triggered something in her.
Yeah. Almost like he was like the beacon that was like sending the signal. And that was why he just shut down.
Those Contagion movies. What do they call that?
Patient
what is it, like Patient
Zero? Or yeah, Typhoid Mary was... Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking that up now. Because I know that there's another... First person in the United States identified as an asymptomatic carrier of the pathogen. Presumed to have infected 51 people. Well, shit. But yeah. So I guess kind of Patient Zero, but I feel like there was another word for it that is more of a colloquialism.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I can't think of what that word is. But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So then after this kind of intense conversation with Bernard, it goes to Dolores waking up in her bed, which is, kind of how these all start.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's cleaning and she opens her dresser drawer.
She finds that gun.
Hello.
Which she apparently does not remember putting there, it feels like. Because she reacts to that, like...
Yeah, like, what?
Yeah, because you gotta admit, or you gotta figure if she's in a loop. She cleans every day and knows what to expect with that.
Right.
And all of a sudden here we have this, like... It's not even just there's something different. It's a fucking murder weapon.
Yeah.
Like, it's quite a... I would be really alarmed if I opened my fridge to grab some eggs and there's a gun sitting there in the morning.
Yeah.
And then she has like a flashback. Like she remembers the man in black.
Yeah, she's looking at her reflection, which is what happened in the last episode when she was in town, when she was looking in the storefront window.
Mm-hmm.
And here she's looking into her vanity mirror and she flashes back to being dragged into the barn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she had taken the gun out, like, wrapped in a petticoat, like she was going to get rid of it. And as she remembers that, she looks like she's going to cry. And she takes that shit and puts it right back where it was. And I was like, okay. I mean, good call, I say. But, yeah, it was... I'm worried.
So you... Okay, so...
What? You're like, how do I phrase this without spoiling? It's not easy, is it, lady?
It's not. All right. So, okay. So, after the scene in the bedroom. Okay, look, I have to tell you. I'm sorry, guys, listeners. I can't let this pass. I have to tell her. So, did she put the gun back?
It looked like it was still wrapped in the thing. Oh, wait, but she has it later, so I guess she didn't. Hold on, let me look at this thing now. I'm going back because I have it on, you know. So she's looking at the gun. She's looking at the gun. She gets this expression. She wraps it up. She sticks it in the drawer. She is staring in the mirror. And then she has the flashback. Oh, I get it, because the petticoats that are out already are the ones that I thought had the gun in it. But she had put it back in the drawer already when she starts to have the flashback. And then when she goes back, she's staring at herself in the mirror still, looking like she's about to cry. And she opens the drawer again, and it's gone. And she puts the petticoat away, and she's all just like, oh, I guess we're good. Nothing weird this morning. Da da da. Okay, I see what's happening here. Because there's a moment later, and I freely admit I thought this was my TV. But there's a moment with her looking down at her dad where there's a glitch. And I thought that was because my internet for streaming is garbage and frequently will do this. So I kind of thought that's what that was. But now I'm like, okay, we're having some synaptic issues here. So she has this flashback and probably like timed out for a second and put that gun in her pocket or something. And then comes back to herself and it's already done. And she's just like, what? Or this happened like a day ago and she's remembering finding it a day ago. Or, I mean, pick your option. I guess there could be like any number of different scenarios. That gun wasn't really even there.
You just gave us 3 or 4
yep.
wonderful jumping boards. Really just choose your own adventure, guys.
Oh, man. So that's why, because yeah, I thought that it was still wrapped in the petticoat that she already has out.
Mm-hmm.
But I just missed that she put it in a different one and then put it away and then, okay, yeah. Well, thank you for pointing that out to me, ma'am. Because it's not like, I mean, you really aren't spoiling me. You're just pointing out that I missaw something, which I don't think is the same thing.
Okay,
because it's not like it gives everything away. I still don't know what the fuck that means. So,
all right. So then, we go into town. And we see William,
mm-hmm.
and it's the morning ritual. Like it's the loop. Do you feel like you're starting to get into the rhythm of what these days are like?
Yes. Yeah, it's like, all right, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, sorry. Continue describing the situation. I'm about to talk about some shit from later.
And so William is strolling, and he sees Clementine. We see a guy bringing in a bandit, then going to collect the bounty.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy gets loose and kills a couple people,
mm-hmm.
grabs Clementine, is like a hostage situation, and William kills him.
Yeah.
Saves the day.
But gets shot and gets knocked down, which kind of alarmed me.
Yeah, he got shot first.
I was about to be like, the fuck?
Yeah, and he got rolled over a little bit from that.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I don't know. Should he be asking for a refund or a discount? What do you think?
I definitely feel like you could have warned the guy that, because I would assume from the way he goes down that is quite an impact and it's going to leave a mark.
Yeah, he shows the mark to Logan later.
Right.
He's all proud of it, So this is, were you surprised that he got hurt like that?
Yeah, I mean, they make it seem like you can't hurt them, which is not entirely true. It's not life-threatening. It's not really hurting, like,
when
bones
William
breaking,
says,
but...
William says, I thought you said we couldn't get hurt. And Logan says, I said you couldn't get shot and killed.
Mm-hmm. Which it does up the stakes a little bit for, like, as I think Logan says, he's like, it wouldn't be any fun if nothing could happen to you.
Right.
And that is part of what was bothering me about the Man in Black, was just like, it felt like they, are shooting at him. Absolutely nothing fucking happens to him. So obviously he's on a whole other thing somehow than William is. And I don't know how that works. Like, is it because, we had the crew last episode be like, give that man whatever he wants.
Yeah, yep.
So they know him and they know that he's not getting hurt at all. And apparently that's how it's supposed to be.
Right. Maybe he's got like a, he leveled up?
Right? Yeah, he's got some kind of like bonus thing.
Pack or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Like an expansion pack.
He's, eat 6 of these, it's a cheat, and bullets will not affect you.
Meanwhile, William's flying coach.
Right? So, and this dude, what is this actor that's on the street that's all like, I could cut you in if you're amenable?
Who the actual actor is?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
He looks super familiar. I know he's in something. But yeah, he's the one that was bringing this dude in and collecting the bounty. And he is offering him some little quest. And
his name is Chris Browning. Does that mean anything to you?
Nothing. He sounds like a figure skater.
Oh, that's the best I could do, guys. He sounds like a figure skater.
He does, doesn't it? We have Chris Browning coming up with the triple Lutz. Oh, he almost dropped that landing 2 feet. That's going to cost him.
The judges are not pleased.
The judges are unimpressed. But yeah, Logan is not interested in this at all, and seems almost offended that William's like, hey, you're just fucking and drinking, which is not super interesting.
Which is stuff you could just do at home.
Right?
He also says, Logan tells William when he's trying to get him to go to the whorehouse, is you're going to thank me. He calls it a spank bank, which, guys, don't call it that.
Not past the age of 13.
Yeah, really. But he says, you're going to thank me for it after you've been married to my sister for a year.
Yeah, so they're not co-workers. They're much, much worse. They're now bound by blood coming up soon. Sucks to be you, William. Sorry.
So it seems like William is marrying into this family.
Yeah.
That he does work with Logan, and now he's marrying Logan's sister, so that gives us a little bit more insight into the dynamics of their relationship, and maybe why William is putting up with this guy who is just kind of insufferable.
Yeah.
He is just... Did you notice when he walks into the frame, he's like adjusting his dick?
Again!
Again with his...
I like to think that is something the actor chose to do.
I think so.
They were just like, all right, now cue entrance, and he's just like, yank. And they're like, that's awful. Keep it. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. Because it's just really perfect.
It really is.
It really gets your point across. But yeah, I feel like that's another reason too why I wouldn't want to fuck robot women while I'm with my brother-in-law. I would not trust that he would keep that shit to himself either.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know what I mean? Like, that it would feel almost like a trap.
Like, you're trying to set me up.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we don't know anything about the family outside, but I feel like if you're a wife and your husband is going to this place, don't you just assume he's going to go fuck something?
One would think. I don't know, though.
But we don't know if she knows that's where they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could totally be the kind of thing you lie to your future wife about.
It's true. People do that. But it doesn't feel like he's a lying type, which I think is the problem for him in this case, Just like...
even Clementine offers him a little gratitude. He saves her, and he's just like, no, ma'am. That'll do.
That'll do.
So William is all about this bounty hunt. He's looking forward to it. Logan is not. And then I think it goes back to the lab.
Yeah. And Teresa's talking to Bernard about how Ford carved out a huge swath of the park
Mm-hmm.
for a storyline that he hasn't told anyone else about, apparently.
Right.
And other storylines need that area of the park. And so now they're all fucked up.
Yeah, he's fucking everything up, and he doesn't care even a little bit.
Nope.
He's throwing everybody else's narratives out of whack, and this whole park has got to run like, you know, like a well-oiled machine with all these moving parts. And if one thing gets fucked up, it has like a domino effect on everything else. We saw that before in an earlier episode.
Mm-hmm.
So she's pissed, and she feels like Bernard lied to her.
Yep. Yeah, which, I mean, he is lying to her, so she's on the right track, but he's lying to her about weird other shit.
Yeah, he doesn't even seem like he knows. Like, he knows he's withholding, I guess is a way to say it.
Right.
Which is just another way to say lying, actually, without judgment.
It's true. But yeah.
But then he goes and has the conversation with Elsie, who has not been satisfied with these weak-ass explanations.
Elsie is really pretty great. Like, she's really frustrating in a way, and I feel like she's kind of gross also in her own way.
Mm-hmm.
But also, she just... I'm trying to think of the word for it. I feel like she's the most honest with herself about what they're doing here.
Okay.
I don't know how to, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe just that there's also this like feeling of loneliness to her. And part of that is like her weird kissing Clementine in the beginning.
Right.
And also the way that she is talking to that dude later, and she's like, see, this is why I hide behind sarcasm, because he's kind of like making fun of her for being worried about the Orion thing.
Yeah.
There's just something about her that she feels like a real person, you know?
She definitely seems to be the only one that we've met that is like really trying to get to the bottom of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have Ford, who told us it was no big deal.
Right.
We have Bernard, who seems like he has some questions, but also gets really weak whenever he has to confront Ford.
True.
So she seems like the only one that's like, hey, we need to really look at what the fuck's going on. And I love that about her.
Yeah.
That she's just like, and so what she's found is really freaky. Basically, she's saying that when Walter goes nuts and kills all those hosts, each of those hosts had at one point in other stories murdered Walter.
So good.
So it's like possibly a revenge, or I think she calls it a grudge. Both of those scenarios are terrifying. You don't want either one of those to be true.
Yeah, I love this so much. Like, it like you said, it's freaky. It's also so very trackable, which is something I think that I like about it, is that like this is too huge a coincidence to be able to just be like, oh, that's weird. Like, no, this is, come on. And also, he's walking around having this conversation with himself. Like, he can hear the person that's been talking to Dolores and whoever it was that was talking to Maeve, because doesn't she hear somebody say like "wake up now" or something? But yeah, that is the first time I think that they have seen that happening, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm wondering about that dude who was like, "You're a growing boy." I'm like, is that a line that he had from another thing? Like, it's just such a weird thing to say.
Yeah. That is a really weird thing to say. That whole scene was so
right. Do not care for it.
And so not only does she get video of Walter killing the host, giving his speech, but there's a name. This conversation Walter's having, he's having with someone named Arnold. And Bernard is just like, no, that's just improvisation. That's what they do.
Yeah, all right, buddy.
Bernard is just always putting the kibosh on her theories, and her concern.
Yeah, it's like it's really frustrating to watch because it feels like it's like really demeaning.
Mm-hmm.
She's a smart person.
He tells her, like, go do your job or something.
Yeah, go do something that's actually in your job description.
Yeah, that's harsh.
Like, dude. You just are uncomfortable that she's closing into. And, like, as a woman, especially, when we are encroaching on somebody's turf in the workplace, we frequently get this kind of reaction. It's resentment and feeling threatened. And even though there's something very specific that he's feeling threatened about here, because he kind of has this interest in what's going on, that he doesn't want her to fuck up, it's just a parallel to a different sort of situation that's much more personal in the real world.
Right. And he just got called out about Elsie's behavior by Teresa in the preceding scene.
Yeah, true.
That she's like, your people are still pulling hose, you need to get them in line. So he's feeling already kind of like shamed by her and like outed, and embarrassed by Elsie's continuing to look into this after they've been told not to.
Mm-hmm.
So he feels a little blindsided. So he's bringing in that kind of resentment on top of all the stuff that you just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Elsie gets the alert on her tablet that there's a stray host, and they have to go track it down. And she goes with Stubbs to go find this host.
Right.
Which then they stumble across into like a really weird scene.
Yeah. I can't wait to get to that because that's so weird. All right, so Teddy. He's over here getting in a fight in the street with some guy who apparently beat up one of the hookers. This dude is enormous.
Yeah.
But it turns out that size don't matter when you got a gun in your hand.
Yeah, everything's fine.
He just goes down. And Teddy has a sidekick now.
Yeah, I was going to say it's nice because usually we just see Teddy get shot.
Right?
But this time he actually gets to shoot someone. He actually gets to be a little bit of the hero. And he's got this woman with him named Marty. And she's ride or die.
I love her. She's so teeny tiny, first of all. She looks like she's like 5 feet tall, maybe. And she's got a shotgun.
She's got this giant shotgun.
And they they cuff this guy to a pole outside because apparently he's a bounty.
Yeah, he's wanted, and Teddy's like, well, somebody else will pick him up, get their money, which makes you think, why don't they just go turn him in first?
Right.
But they don't do that.
No,
they go to get hookers first.
And he offers Maeve some money in exchange for her letting them leave him there, and she remembers seeing him in a weird glass room getting hosed down with a bunch of other bodies, and she really preoccupied. Shaken. Yeah, like she keeps watching him throughout this scene too. Yeah. Like she doesn't know what to say or do.
Right, and her face, like you can see how confused she is. Like she doesn't say anything and she doesn't really do anything, but just her face, she's just like, this isn't right. Like, what was that? What did I just remember? Like, how is that even possible? Such confusion on her face. And then we go to our very familiar Teddy picks up the can that Dolores has dropped. And they do their dance.
Yeah, this time they go out to the countryside together. And she straight up is like, hey, I want to leave. I don't want to be here anymore. And he waxes poetical about some place where the water will wash the past right off you and you can start again. And she's like, well, I want to go there. All right, let's do that then. whatever, poet boy. And he's like, well, someday I will. And she looks pissed.
Yeah.
And it seems like this is not a common expression for her because he looks a little thrown by how angry she looks.
Yeah, I feel like she has gone off of script.
Mm-hmm.
And Teddy has not. So...
Right. So yeah, it's like this moment of, well, shit, now what do I say with him? And her pointing out, like, well, it really sounds like the kind of thing you say when you mean never, is a little too close to the truth. And he, like, does the best he can with, like, well, I have to make amends for some things.
Right. It's all very vague.
Yeah.
It's all just, I've got this thing going on,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta work some shit out.
I'm just, I'm not ready for something like this. I'm really trying to focus on my career. And I don't feel like I can commit to someone completely at this point in my life. I really like you. Like, don't get me wrong. It's been super fun, but...
Right. My head's just not there yet.
Yeah, it's...
I gotta get right with me first, I
have a lot of baggage from my past relationship, and gotta figure that shit out, so, I'll call you. And it's just kind of hard to watch because that he physically can't take her anywhere.
Yeah.
And... he does not know that he can't, and she does not know, but it seems like she kind of has an inkling somehow.
Yeah.
And they're both trying to figure out why they keep winding up here, unhappy and longing.
Mm-hmm. For this thing that they can never, have together. And,
yeah.
And she definitely seems, you're right. I think you're right. She's seems like she's saying, but why can't we have this thing though?
Yeah.
And so then they go back, she's got to get home before dark,
which she does not do. It's pretty dark when she gets home.
Yeah, right. It's always pretty dark when she gets home, considering she says it every day.
And there's gunshots, and they go up there, and nothing good happens.
Yeah, they cut. We just hear the gunshots and the screaming. They don't even show it to us this time.
Mm-hmm.
And then it cuts to them being in the lab with this eyeball being made.
Yeah, how cool is that?
I thought it was super cool. It's like one of those... It's what I imagine like a 3D printer would look like. I've never actually seen one in real life. But this is what I think they look like.
Yeah, this is like... banana pants. It's like individual threads of the iris being put into place.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
And you know what? I'm gonna look and actually see exactly who it was, because somebody in the patrons group shared an article about how the liquid that they're being dunked in is actually there. Like the robotics in these episodes are real, and it's just like the substances that are being strung from the end of like the syringes and stuff that are not real. And I'm trying to find exactly where it is. Yeah, because somebody shared this thing, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting."
That's kind of scary,
right?
I mean, it's probably not supposed to be scary, but I'm a little scared by it.
I'm trying to find, because that's season 1, episode 1. Where's my other? Maybe I put it as 2 words, WestWorld. I'm trying to find it in the group with the search thing. Yeah, no, I can't find it. I'm sorry to whoever it was, because I really wanted to read it. I'm gonna keep looking for it while we move on, and then I'll bring it back up if I find it.
All right. So this scene is Ford and Teddy. And I don't know how Anthony Hopkins can manage to be as creepy as he is.
Oh my God.
Like, I shouldn't be surprised because he's been playing Mr. Creepy Guy for decades now.
Right. They love casting him as Mr. Creepy Guy. They're like, hey, let's get somebody who feels like our comfy grandpa and also a murderer.
And he fucking is he fits the bill every time.
Yep.
he is not doing anything remarkably weird, right?
No.
And yet, and the fact that Teddy is not clothed is probably adding a layer of creepiness to this entire exchange.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's so much of the show is like
yeah.
the power dynamics of them sitting there naked, even though they supposedly don't care.
Right.
Oh, I found the thing. I'm sorry.
Oh, good.
So it was an article on Uprocks that Tristan Hydett posted in the group. And the WestWorld makeup department head, Christian Tinsley, said, the concept behind it is the body gets dipped into this sort of protein liquid that attaches itself to the muscle tissue. That then builds the tissue around the body, and you have flashes of light in the back, which is the UV ray concept. So it's supposed to be like the UV ray brings this protein to life somehow.
Oh, wow.
And they said they created a silicone dummy to fit inside the host mold. And he says that the host is like, in the story, an organic thing, which is why the MRSA is able to attach to it. And they can actually bleed to death, but the brains are synthetic. And he says 99.9% of the set is real. It actually happened. Those were actual robot parts, actual mechanisms dipping and moving and shifting. Even the machine that was threading the sinewy tissue onto the skeleton body, that robot, all real. What wasn't real was the actual sinew fiber coming out of the machine and attaching itself, going back and forth. That was the only sort of visual effect.
Well, that is deeply upsetting to
me. I know. They said that Worth credits special effects coordinator Michael Lantieri with using water and glue to create a visceral consistency, which made the VFX's team's job easier.
Wow.
It gave it those great textures and dripped off things. Then we did all the muscle weaving, as we called it, the actual spraying of sinew onto the skeleton. The nice thing is there's so much synergy between all the different departments throughout the project.
Wow. That's amazing.
Isn't that bananas?
I had no idea.
No, me neither. I figured it was all effects.
Jesus.
So,
holy shit, Skynet.
Right? So yeah, thank you, Tristan, for that, because that's super, super interesting.
Yeah, and I didn't see that post either, so I'm glad that you found it so you could read it.
Yeah.
So,
anyway, sorry. So moving on to Creepy Grandpa.
Yeah. So, yeah, Anthony Hopkins is just killing this role.
He's really
so
good.
fucking good. So what he is going to do is he is going to give Teddy a backstory, a reason that all these words he says to Dolores about, I've got some things to do and I've got, a past that has to be reckoned with. None of that shit was ever actually written.
Is that? I'm not gonna lie. That is one of the most fucked up things of this show so far to me. That he's like, oh, well, we just instilled this vague sense of guilt that you can never atone for ever in your life, that you will always live with and feel compelled to fight and be
It's
worthy.
very human, I think.
Holy shit! Is that the most depressing thing you ever fucking heard? That they're just like, think about yourself and the vague senses of whatever you have, and the concept that maybe the creator on high was just like, I don't know, she needs something. It doesn't make her feel bad about herself all the time.
Isn't that kind of how it happens, though?
That feels like it's exactly how it happens. Like, she'll probably try real hard to be a decent person because she feels like she's garbage. So, excellent motivator.
Right? She'll never understand why she's garbage, though.
Nope. It'll never be clear.
So maybe this is actually a good deed, and we shouldn't call him creepy grandpa. Maybe he's doing like a mitzvah here.
No, I'm fine with it. He's creepy grandpa.
He's telling, and the story he gives Teddy is horrible.
It's horrifying.
Basically, he witnessed a huge massacre.
Yep.
When he was in the service, and his sergeant just goes off into the woods and disappears. And when he comes back, he's hearing voices. He's hearing the voice of God, he says.
Yeah.
And just seems to just kill everyone and go completely batshit crazy. So I think maybe Teddy was better off when he didn't have a story.
Yeah, I'm all right with the no story thing.
Right? Maybe
I'm
just keep it
fine
vague.
with that.
Keep it vague.
Jesus.
I like too the way as Ford tells him, about Wyatt, and Teddy's like, "Who's Wyatt?" And then you see Ford like touch a button.
Yeah.
And then instantly Teddy's like, "Yeah, I can tell you about Wyatt." Just like, ooh.
Dislike. It's too much. It's too much power. I don't like it. No.
Yeah, it's but how different is Teddy when we see him again though?
I know. And this is the thing that's like the clarity of purpose between just this vague sense of like something's wrong and I need to fix it and I have somebody I can direct that all at now.
Right.
And I'm sure that part of that might be an actual change in the backstory, changing his personality now. But I feel like you don't need to change that much if you just let that because people love having someone to blame.
Yeah.
That's a great, like, that's half of our, like, struggle as human beings is that frequently there is no one to blame, and yet we need there to be, so we just find someone. And they gave him somebody, and that's, like, gotta be really helpful to him.
Right. It's, what's sad though is that once he gets this update, it's not like he's going to be able to be like, this is better than before, because he's not going to remember before. No. This is just, this is just who he is now, and as far as he's concerned, who he's always been, which is, kind of also human. Or at least what we try to do, I think,
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm this person now. I'm better. I don't do that, that wasn't me. It's not, this is who I've always been now.
Yep. Yeah. Teddy just feels like, I just feel for the guy,
Yeah, he's very, I remember in the first episode you said that you felt like he was, were you talking like a proxy for the audience?
Oh, is that what I said?
I think you were talking about Teddy because we didn't meet William until the second episode. But I
think I did say that about William though, because he's the one that's reacting to them like they're actual people, and I feel like that's what most of us would do.
Right. Well, I can't remember. You didn't know Teddy was a host right away.
No. Yeah, no.
So I'm wondering if maybe that you said it before you realized what he was a host too. I can't remember.
But I couldn't have said, because I would have known by the time I said it.
Yeah, that's true. All right, maybe it was William. But my point was going to just be that Teddy is, in some ways, I feel like he just takes so much abuse.
Yeah, I think that's, it feels like almost like he's like the little kid somehow, because he's so supposed to be sort of like good and sweet, and so he feels like he's like really vulnerable, even though all of those characteristics are put there.
Right. Well, that's what Ford says to him before you give him the update, something about how a coward dies 1,000 deaths. And then he's like, how many times do you think you've died here, Teddy? It's got to be 1,000 times. So when he doesn't just give him the new narrative, he gives him sort of like a level up himself,
Yeah.
He comes out, because the first thing we see that happens to him is Dolores has that run-in with just like a really skeevy guy on the street, who I think we've seen him before.
Have we?
I thought we had.
Are you talking about the guy with the top hat with the like weird mutton chops? Okay, I thought you meant the guest who's like,
No.
I told you I wanted something easy.
No. How upsetting was that too, by the way?
Yeah.
That I told you I wanted something easy, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I guess we already know what the deal is with this park and what people are doing there. But something about, and we also know that the guests tell the host what they want to do and, you know, find me this and take me here.
Mm-hmm.
But something just about him being like, I told you I wanted something easy. I don't know, it just skeeved me out.
I mean, what I find, like, and I guess the implication is meant to be like, I wanted somebody that'd be easy to assault. But
yeah.
if you were just like, oh, I just wanted somebody that'd be easy to fuck, you could go to the whorehouse.
Exactly. That's what's so upsetting about it.
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't want it just easy, like I don't want to put any effort in because, you know, the whorehouse is right there.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to do a very specific type of thing. He just wants that thing to be easy. Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah,
and he looks gross too.
He does.
He looks like he would give her MRSA. You know?
So, oh God, yuck. All right, so then this is when Teddy takes, after he saves Dolores, takes her out to show her how to shoot. And, she can't.
This is messed up.
She can't pull the trigger. Which makes sense.
I just like the idea that it is built into her that she can't pull the trigger is so upsetting. And it makes complete and total sense. And, you know, later we get the information that, like, only one of them is authorized to use the axe. So this is, like, a safety thing in place for... But it just feels so weird because, like, the axe, okay, you can just use that as a weapon, but their guns can't do anything to anybody. Really. So...
It seems like a weird precaution to put in place for guns.
Yeah,
right?
it seems like that's just rude. Like, they're basically, hey, we're going to make sure that she cannot do anything to defend herself from anyone.
Yeah, because
she's a host or not. Like,
yeah, she's there to be a victim.
Yep.
Of whatever, you know, whether it's somebody's falling in love with her, or somebody wanting to hurt her. She's not allowed to really defend herself in any way.
Ugh.
Or so we thought.
Gross. Yeah. And that at least feels like it gets made right by the end of this.
And then the posse comes up and they tell Teddy that they got word on Wyatt, and so Teddy has to leave again to go into the mountains again. And then we catch up with Elsie and Stubbs and the weirdo campfire, which isn't funny, but I laugh so hard at this.
It is kind of funny, like, because it just feels like what they say is, well, they got caught in a loop, which we know that, like, the loop is the word that they use for their daily routine anyway.
Yes.
But I really love that it means something different here, even though it's like the same thing.
Yeah.
And that it's so, like, this is college with your roommates.
It really is.
Holy
like
shit.
That's exactly what I was thinking. This is just sitting around with your roommates and nobody wants to get up to do the fucking thing that has to be done.
Yep.
So you just sit around, usually high, and just keep saying the same thing, you know, passing it on to the next person over and over and over again. And they've been doing this for a while now.
I can't, like, how long has it been? Is it a full day?
I think it's been like a day.
Oh, I love it so much because it's just, I mean, you know what? I'm fucking fronting because I'm acting like another person even needs to be there for me to do this. And they do not. I can pull this shit all by myself. Just be like, well, I really should get up and make dinner. Yeah, but to make dinner, you need to put clothes on. Yeah, but to put clothes on, I need to get out of this bed. Well, I guess you're just not going to have dinner. Guess I'm not. But I'm really hungry, though. Well, I guess you got to get up and make dinner then. But I can't, because then I have to put clothes on. It's just like... Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's like my brain but got made into people and put in front of me to illustrate how ridiculous I am. Thanks a lot.
Well, in your loop scenario, would it have been helpful to you if there had been someone else there, maybe with an axe of some kind?
To chase me out of bed? Get the fuck up! I feel like that's what ends up happening. Is that some other part of my brain kicks in, and it's like, I am literally gonna kill you if you do not get your ass up and make some fucking food, lady. Fine. Okay. It's my blood sugar. Picking up an axe. I have had enough.
So, because the woodcutter has disappeared, that's what's fucked them all up, and that's who the stray is that they're looking for. And they go into the little tent, and they find all these little wood carvings. And Elsie notices that they all have this weird pattern on them, and she puts one in her pocket as they go, further out to try to find wherever this host has ended up. And there's some back and forth between her and Stubbs, and he's a little, I mean, he's not mean, but he's kind of
dismissive.
He's dismissive. She makes a big thing about how he's always carrying a weapon. He talks about how he sleeps with his weapon because he doesn't trust these things.
Mm-hmm.
They're just one bad line of code away from, murdering everybody in their sleep, and that he sleeps with his gun and all this kind of stuff.
I love that when he's like, I sleep with this thing, and she goes, I bet you do. And I was like, ooh, that was pretty good, actually, lady. Some good shade right there.
And then I think from there, did we go back to Bernard?
This dog, do you hear this dog?
Oh my God, yes I do.
Oh, God. Sorry guys, I just got distracted there. So let's see, we go from there. No, we go back to Teddy and his friends on the road. He's talking about this guy.
Oh, okay. This is when they find the bodies on the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of this part.
Not liking this.
I am not surprised that I tried to skip it. Yeah, this is really gruesome.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like maybe unnecessarily gruesome considering that these are hosts. Like,
yeah, this is what's making me go like, okay. Here I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I kind of have to.
All right, let's do it.
So Ford is talking to Bernard about how this dude that he used to work with, who basically all of his credit got scrapped.
Mm-hmm.
And that, he knew it wasn't cool, but he was also fine with it.
Right.
This dude was much more concerned with creating actual consciousness. And that the problem was that these hosts that he made, lost their minds. Because they, the consciousness manifested as, a voice in their head. Am I getting this right?
Yeah.
And so they thought they were hearing the voice of God.
Mm-hmm.
When, in fact, it was likely just him that they were hearing.
Right. It was their programming. And this thing that he's talking about that he calls the bicameral mind, and he draws that pyramid on the chalkboard.
Right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And it's memory is at the bottom, and then improvisation, and then self-interest, and then the very top is empty because they don't. Ford says because they never got there.
Right.
But I think for Arnold, that's where consciousness was supposed to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that they could almost literally bootstrap themselves into consciousness,
right.
They'll hear the voice of God, and then they will start to think the voice is actually them thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you are aware that you're thinking, bam, you're conscious.
Right.
Which I think Ford was right here when he's like, this is not a place where you want these things to be conscious.
Yeah, the last thing you want in a place like this is for them to be agreed. But it feels almost like here what Ford's like new storyline is that he went and got some crazy bots from the old boot and put them in the game.
Oh.
And that they're like out there thinking that they're hearing the voice of God and like maybe low-key infecting some other ones and going. And is it him or is it Teddy who says that they feel like I think it's Teddy who's talking about the people who followed Wyatt and said they believe that they're in hell.
Yes.
You think?
Yeah.
I mean, what's going on here is like it's practically Greek. Like, just keep rolling that stone up and you'll literally never get to the top. And tomorrow you start off again and constantly fight the same fight and worry the same worries and get raped again and again.
Right.
And apparently, once we see the rest of the story with Dolores, if a guest doesn't show up, it's just another host who's going to rape her.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently is written into the script, so that just happens every day.
Right. Every day.
Every day.
Which is really fucked up.
I mean, this is the definition of what hell would be.
Right.
So, they're not wrong.
There's a thing that Teddy says, that Wyatt, when he comes back and he's heard the voice of God, he says something like, this land doesn't belong to the original settlers. And it doesn't belong to the newcomers either. It belongs to something else, something that's new and different.
Mm-hmm.
It belongs to us. Or maybe he says it belongs to me. I forget.
Yeah.
But it sounds like he's definitely talking about something that is, not what we know. And also maybe like he's talking about, well, I don't know. I guess it would just be humans, period. Whether they're guest or not,
Yeah, I'm just like, and just a side note, can we talk about the young Anthony Hopkins?
Oh, the CGI.
He was fine. Hi.
Oh God,
what's up?
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah, he was really cute. Mm-hmm. So yeah, when he's telling the story about what it was like in the park in their first days and how they lived there for 3 years before it was ever even opened. And while he's telling the story, because Bernard has asked him, who's Arnold? And he shows him a picture and tells him how they just were in there working all the time and doing all these tests. And there's a flashback of young Anthony Hopkins walking through like the lab, and you see it in the early days, and then they go out to like the town square. And you see them dancing.
Yeah, that's super awkward too. That woman is moving in this way that's just not okay. She looks like a marionette a little bit.
Yeah. It's really like, especially when you think about what they look like now. With how different they seem. It's like when we met Old Bill, and he looked like the Disney Hall of Presidents.
Yeah.
Thing.
And the next time we see her, she's got those scratch marks all over herself. Because apparently she has been losing it, thinking that she's hearing the voice of God. I think that's what Bernard just says, lunatics. And he's like, indeed.
Yep.
And he asks what happened to him. And Ford's just like, well, he died here in the park.
Yeah.
And Bernard's like, I'm sorry, what
right?
now?
He's like, we said it was an accident, but he was very careful.
Yeah.
So that sort of implies, well, I feel like it just implies suicide, right?
I feel like it implies that he did some shit as like a final fuck you that maybe would not have been apparent to anybody except Ford exactly what he meant by whatever he did.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like the kind of thing that it's just a very personal inside joke, kind of like, ha, fuck you. But nobody else would really get it because it's just like, for them, just terrible overall because the guy's dead.
Right.
But
and also probably something that people wouldn't even recognize. Maybe it would just be beyond their ability to understand it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. It's just like Ford and him were obviously operating at this level that was just far beyond the understanding of other people in terms of this AI thing. So if they had other plans or other arguments or something that other people aren't aware of, then you could do whatever with, you know, all of the plans. You could use that to send a message that nobody else would even realize. Yeah, so, and like, part of me is like, is he dead? Or is he wandering around the fucking park still? Like,
holy shit.
You know, like, I don't know. He said he died, but this is the first time Bernard ever heard of this, so how well known is it that he died? Is there a body? Like, I don't trust this guy. I do not trust this guy. Look at him. What is he doing? Why would I trust him?
I like, too, that when Bernard comes to talk to him, there's a tech in there working on a host, and he's got him covered under a towel.
Yes, I forgot about this.
Ford is like, what is this nonsense?
This was so, like, I felt for this tech so bad. Yeah,
it's like, you are treating them like they're human. They are not. Stop doing that. Yeah. Stop it right now. And I imagine it's such a departure from, like, the two techs that worked on Maeve, you know, who they have already been conditioned, you know, to not have any worries about any connections with these things. These are things to them. And this guy still has like a little shred of, let me cover your shame.
Right?
So yeah, he must be new.
He's like, they don't feel anything but what we tell them to, and then like slices his face open with a scalpel. I'm just like,
because it's got to be creepy.
I just don't like. I get that you're trying to make a point here, but like, you're tech people. You're just making more work for him. It's like being like, this iPhone isn't alive. Smash. Why? Come on. It just feels like you're just being really, really free and quick with the merchandise here.
Well, you know, he's building this whole new narrative. He's just snatching bodies that he needs. He doesn't give a fuck about resources. Yeah, that's a problem for the board, not for him.
Yeah, indeed.
He's a creative genius. He can't be worried with such trifles. Budgets.
Budgets. It's the same way I say that word usually.
I was just going to make the same joke.
So let's talk about Bernard and his wife.
Yeah, I love that Gina Torres pops up. Because I love her always and forever.
How does she look the fucking same?
Because she's like made a pact with the devil or something.
It's so not fair. Gina.
Yeah, she's got a lot of nerve.
Ugh.
Being all gorgeous all the time. Here.
But yeah, it's like incredibly painful between the two of them. And the way they're talking about it, this did not happen long ago. Like,
it feels very raw, right? Very raw. And it makes it even sadder that, because she says, you know, you have your work to kind of go hide in. And he's left her to deal with all of this, it seems like.
Yeah, and he talks about how he wakes up and forgets where he is, and he, like, reaches over. And that is the realest shit. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I have woken up from a dream about my dad, or a dream that would be like related to him or something that he would find funny. And I've been like, oh my God, I gotta call him and tell him about this. I haven't called him in a while. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, it just all of a sudden my brain clicks into place and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Like all
it's
over
like
again.
we have to like reboot, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. And our brains will be like, oh, wait, let me update and add this new information that I keep trying to get rid of.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
I do the same thing.
She asks him if he ever wishes that he could forget because it hurts so much. And he says that this pain is the only thing that I have left of him.
Yeah.
And we see like a bunch of paramedics like over him in a hospital. I guess it probably isn't paramedics, they're probably just doctors and nurses.
Well, yeah, since they're already at the hospital.
Yeah. But he's like being physically like pulled back.
Yeah.
And obviously this kid's going, it's rough.
Yeah.
And he's so cute.
And I think the book is in that scene, right? He's like reading the book that he had given Dolores at the beginning of the episode. Yeah. It's really sad. And
so,
considering the other kinds of pain and kind of, because this episode is pretty brutal as far as violence goes.
This, like, the fucking tree thing, man.
Yeah. But this scene with Bernard, I think, is probably the most hard to watch.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, there's just... Yeah, I think I like that parallel that you drew about him rebooting. Like, he's kind of reliving the same loss every day. Only he really remembers versus these things.
Right.
Oh my god. So, the stray that wandered off.
And I just said how gruesome and violent this episode was, and then here we are.
This guy is in this ditch. He's in like a ditch is the wrong word. It's like a
little gulf or something, like a little
canyon. It's like a tiny canyon, right?
Right? There's a word I'm trying to think of that has like "olge" in it, but I can't think of.
Gulch?
Gulch. That's the word I was looking for.
It's a fucking awful word. Stop it. Never use that again. Ugh.
Yeah, he's just like falling down into one of these little crevices, like that guy in that movie that had to chew his arm off. I don't think that's how that movie went, but isn't that what happened? Maybe he didn't chew it off, but you know what I mean.
Oh my god!
They made a whole movie about it. Anyway, that's what the situation is. And Stubbs climbs down there to chop its head off.
That was ghastly.
It really
when
was.
He starts to do that? Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, and he's just like, put it in sleep mode. And, she does, but it does not take.
They keep waking up. They're woke now.
They're woke.
They're woke now. And it shoves him aside and like jumps out and acts like it's about to go after her, and then it just picks up a rock and bashes its own head in.
Yeah. It takes like 3 or 4, and he caves his head in. Yeah. And it is it's hard to fucking watch.
This guy got woke and did not care for it. I'm like, man, I feel you. I have these days sometimes. That's not how I would choose to do it, because ouch. But I get it.
Yeah. And the thing that was on the little carvings, Stubbs is the one who recognizes it, says it's Orion's belt.
Yeah.
Which, I don't feel like that's not in the script. I'm not sure why he's carving that. Mm-hmm. But that's a thing that happened.
Like, we have them viewing this, like, is because you're thinking of Orion. Is that like where the headquarters is looking down at them from? Is like a certain constellation?
Oh.
Or the sun, like, because that's what I'm thinking of, the Pleiades. You know that whole thing with the positioning of the pyramids?
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean.
And this, like, idea that we came, like, humankind came from an alien landing that came from the Pleiades, and that the way that the pyramids are built is like a beacon because they match up exactly. Something like that.
Oh, I didn't know about that part.
No?
I know, like, vaguely of the idea that, like, aliens are involved and the pyramids were like a positioning device almost.
Right.
But I don't know, like, much more than that.
I'm trying to find it now because I'm, like, wondering if he is, like, if he's getting obsessed with this one constellation because it, like, means something and something in him knows that.
Oh, okay.
You know, but I don't. That's just my trying to make sense of what he's doing in this, like, trying to tie it to something that I'm familiar with about. Because we love to be weird about planets and shit.
That is the thing that we do. We do love that. And I don't know if it's here or if we skipped it, but at some point Elsie calls Bernard to, like, give him the scoop.
Right, yeah. Well, we are skipping around a little bit. It's my fault because I jumped ahead to the conversation. But I jumped ahead because we hit that tree thing.
Right.
And it feels like these things that did this to the hosts are like the crazy still hearing God's voice. So I felt like I needed to jump ahead a little bit there.
But yeah, nothing happens because Bernard doesn't pick up. She just leaves him a voicemail. And then I think we go to the ambush with Teddy and the crew. These fucking guys and their mask.
Do not like.
Jesus Christ.
What's the name of the girl that's with Teddy? Because she just loses her damn mind at this.
Marty. She's like, oh my fucking God. And I was like, that is the exact appropriate response.
Right? And these things are coming at them. And we see in a second that the gunshots do not affect them. So, are they... Because I would imagine that if you are kind of woke to what is going on, that you are able to, like, turn off having certain reactions to things. But at the same time, I don't know, maybe they just power through it. But it doesn't seem like it has any effect. It's not even like they flinch and then keep going. It's like nothing happens. So maybe they're guests that are dressed up and, like, part of this thing. But
I mean, yeah, guests can do whatever they want when they get there. So I guess you could, for your vacation, just be, you know, a pillaging, ravaging, you know, murderer and just go on a fucking spree. That doesn't say a lot about humans. But I guess that's possible.
Like, what does? Let's be real.
Yeah, fair. So after the ambush, let's see.
Well, we have her. I noticed, like, I didn't even put it together because I watched the show with the subtitles on all the time. But when she leaves the voicemail for Bernard, it pops up as, like, a full text message also on his phone. And I'm like, did he leave that shit right where Teresa could find it? Because that feels like a dumb move. I feel like she's going, man.
I had missed that. I forgot that part happened.
But yeah, he's going down to the basement to talk to Dolores. And he says, I feel like this is a terrible place for you. And she starts to do her script. And he stops her and says improvisation only. And she asks him if he thinks that she's changed. And he basically tries to be like, so what would you rather do? Stay asleep or be awake? Which, like, she's got no context for that. That doesn't make any sense for her, which she basically says.
Yeah, she's just like, I don't understand the question.
He's like, do you want to take the blue pill or the red pill? And she's like, pills? What's pills?
Oh, God.
And she says, there's not two versions of me, fine, because he seems to look really discouraged.
Right.
And then she says, when I discover who I am, I'll be free. And he says, what prompted that response? And she just says, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Which she always has an answer. You know, he'll ask her, analysis, and she'll tell you exactly why. Oh, well, I hadn't asked about your kid in a while, so I felt like it, like she does earlier in the episode. So this seems new and exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, she says, have I done something wrong, made a mistake? And he says, basically, that if she made a mistake, that's how evolution works.
Yeah, yeah.
So, probably you did.
He doesn't want to overstate it, but you're basically a real girl now.
Yeah. I don't... And he talks about teaching his son how to swim. Mm-hmm. And that they were both scared. He didn't want to let go of the kid. And the kid did not want to be let go of. But he did it. And then she asks, do you still want to change me back? Which makes me feel like she knows exactly what the fuck he's saying.
Yeah. It's like sometimes she seems like she gets it, and then sometimes it's like she really doesn't have any idea what's going on. Mm-hmm. And the change is really swift, in my opinion, like from moment to moment.
So, yeah, he's like, so we'll just keep doing this and see where it goes. I guess I better leave, and you should go back before somebody misses you. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how is nobody noticing this? Fucking, there's no way. Ford is setting him up. He's gotta be setting him up. I don't, because he's a fucker. He is a slime. He's a Slytherin. That's what he is. And he is setting some shit up and being shady and messing with a guy who he knows is vulnerable right now because of loss, and toying with him. And he is looking for a new Arnold, because he needs one now, because now he's bored and he wants that person back. And so Bernard is like a really good Arnold. Mm.
Well, doesn't he warn Bernard at the end of their chat?
But I feel like that's his reverse psychology-ing. He's like, hey, don't do this thing that I totally want you to do.
Yeah, stop. Don't stop doing that thing I'm going to tell you should stop doing. Because it seems, he's like, why would you say that? And he's like, oh, I know about the loss of your son. But I feel like that's not really why you said it, though.
No.
You're saying that's why you said it, but that's not why.
I almost feel like maybe the storyline that Ford is creating involves the people who are making the robots now. Do you know what I mean?
You mean like the other characters that we've met?
Yeah, like Teresa and Bernard are part of Ford's storyline.
Oh.
Like he's doing a big game now.
Right.
And he knows them well enough and knows what the policies are there well enough to predict pretty adequately probably how they would react to things. For the most part, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, he is brilliant. He's been there forever. He knows how to do a story. And he doesn't seem like he is above using people like that. I feel like he's like everybody is just a part in his play kind of thing.
Yeah. Or we could do a fucking like a Battlestar Galactica and have half the people who work there be AI too and not even know it.
Okay, I've never actually watched Battlestar Galactica.
Okay, well, it's the crux of the show is can you tell who's real and who's not, and does it matter? Very similar idea.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I thought it was about at all.
It's not like the plot, like when you get into the plots, but really overall, that's a lot of it.
No kidding. I had no idea. I thought it was just kind of like a Star Trek show.
I don't get me wrong, would be shocked, but like, what if Teresa was AI and put there? Like, I don't know how far up this goes. I don't know what's happening.
You mean put there by somebody even higher than Ford?
No, Ford put her there.
Oh, but they seem so adversarial.
Why not? You can make her be whatever you want. You need somebody to call you on your shit.
Oh, who builds somebody to call them on their shit?
Somebody brilliant, probably, who knows better and has some self-awareness and realizes that they haven't had enough people to call them on their shit, and so they've been like basking in their own bullshit for way too long,
wallowing in their own crapulence.
That's like a huge part of what drew me to Owen, was that he would call me out on stuff. Like, that is attractive once you get to a certain point that you're like, oh, you're paying attention and you can see when I'm full of shit. Interesting.
Okay.
You know, but I'm just spitballing here. I don't believe that.
I'm just trying to think, do I want that kind of negativity in my life? I don't think that I do.
I mean, it doesn't hurt that he knows he could just turn her off if she starts to get a little too real with him.
Oh, bless. So the episode kind of ends up with Dolores going back home, you know, which we've seen several times.
Right.
What did you think about how this went? I'm going to let you talk about the scene.
All right. So first of all, she runs into that dude. I don't remember what this guy is from, but I know I've seen him in something recently. Who says that if there is a merciful God, those men are dead already. Oh, I know what he's from. He played this recurring character on Justified. The black dude that
the one who tells her about Teddy and them. Okay.
Yeah. He was on Justified and he came up a bunch of times, and he apparently they like really feel him for a Western sort of setting. Not that it's really West, but there's like a real country thing.
Right.
But yeah, he basically is like, you're going to hope Teddy's dead, which is a harsh thing to say. Mm-hmm.
But he's not lying after what we saw them happen to those people tied to the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Who one of them wasn't even all the way dead yet, by the way.
No. And I knew he wasn't. Like, when they were getting close, I was like, this motherfucker's alive, isn't he? And then he spat, and yep, sure enough. So she gets home. She gets to like the edge of the property and stops and says like, too dark. It's this weird thing. She says
the thing about the cattle that she says every time.
Right.
But then she stops and then she finishes it up with too dark. It's like she was in the middle of her speech.
Yeah.
But she's not talking to anyone. She's by herself.
Yep. So she goes up there and she comes across her dad, and there's like that skip. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching it now and realizing that her dad's eyes were closed at first, but then after the skip, his eyes are like a tiny bit open. Mm-hmm. Something changes there. And then this guy drags her into the barn and throws her down. And she's laying there and reaches into the bale of hay, and there's the gun just sitting waiting for her, like she planted it or something earlier. Like she knew exactly where she was going to be and where her hand was going to be. And he's like, oh, wow, look at this. And stand up for yourself a little bit, but he seems very confident that she's not going to shoot him.
Right.
Like, he doesn't seem worried at all.
Yeah, he's like, oh, your boyfriend's showing you a couple new tricks and blah, 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 blah. And she can't shoot. She's holding the gun for a few seconds,
And he goes, having trouble. Oh, man, the way he said that, I just... And then he turns into the Man in Black. And he starts coming forward with his knife out. And she hears the voice go, kill him. And she pulls the trigger, and then she's laying there in utter shock at what she did for a second.
Yep.
And she runs out of there with the gun in her hand. And it's like she can tell they're about to shoot her mom right before it happens. Like the way that she says mama. And then this guy off to the side is like, hey, you, what are you doing? Pulls a gun, shoots her. And she's standing there and looks down at her abdomen, which is bleeding. And then looks back up, and the guy's going, hey, you, what are you doing? And comes running towards her like he's going to shoot her again. Like she remembered a different time when this all happened. And she manages to turn and run and get back on her horse and get out of there before that happens again.
Yep.
And he's just shooting hilariously from the front porch of the house. She's like a half mile away, and he's still pulling the trigger. Like he knows, no, but I'm supposed to though. She's supposed to fall down and die. Why is she not falling down and dying? And what's confusing me here is that, well, not confusing is the wrong word. The thing that I'm hung up on is that if she had never shot that guy before, that dude's line about, hey, you, what are you doing? Come back here. Can't have happened unless she shot this guy before.
Right.
And ran out of there. So this is a repeat of a messed up repeat. This is a wrong loop. The second time, maybe. Unless she's run out before, and it's just that she's doing it earlier now than she normally does.
Yeah, I mean, she could have ran out of the barn, not necessarily having shot anybody.
Right.
At a different, on a different loop. But yeah, it's hard to say because we've only ever seen her get dragged into the barn. We've never actually seen what happens in the barn till this time.
Huh.
So
yeah.
We've like imagined all these different, not all these different things. We pretty much imagined just the one thing.
Yeah.
Even though I will say the Man in Black, as he's coming towards her, he has the big knife out. And you had mentioned before that it was possible that maybe he didn't rape her. Maybe he was scalping her too. So then she leaves the ranch. And we cut to, it goes back to Elsie and Stubbs, but we already talked about that.
Yeah.
It goes to William and Logan, and Logan is pissed because he's bored as fuck, and this is not fun, and he could be fucking whores right now, but no. William wanted to be the white
told
hat.
you that you could stay if that's what you wanted to do.
He sure did.
There's no reason.
Nobody put a gun to your head that said you had to come on this adventure. And Dolores shows up and kind of just collapses into William's arms.
Yeah. She's in shock. Because she just killed a man. Which something in her knows is not right.
Right.
And she also, just saw her family get murdered. And
had a couple of glitches, it seems like. Between the guy yelling at her on the porch, the looking down at her father and seeing Abernathy, the first one, and then the one that's now. So yeah, she's exhausted, it seems.
I don't know what to think about her being out there with Logan. If it was just William, I'd be alright. Fucking Logan.
Yeah, you might as well just stayed at home and got raped.
Right? Honestly.
No need to take that rape show on the road.
Although, he might not be into her because she wouldn't slap him in the face.
Oh, that's a good point. That's an excellent point.
So yeah, that's the end of it. Is like the camera above them looking down at her. So, what the fuck?
So what do you want to see next week? We spent a lot of time this week with Teddy and Dolores.
Yeah.
Which I did not mind.
No, like, because they're kind of the more fascinating thing in that we know the most about what their loops are supposed to be like.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just the most familiar with what is going wrong. Like, if something changes, we know that.
Right.
But
I mean, Maeve did wake up in the middle of some shit.
I want to know what the fuck's going on with the Man in Black. I need to know what's up with him, because part of me is like, oh, is that Arnold? Is that Arnold? Hey, Arnold! I had to make that joke at least one time. But there's no reason that, like, we would have Ford being like, oh yeah, Arnold's dead, and then a couple of nobodies who are just wandering around outside are looking down at the park are like, oh yeah, that guy. He gets what he wants. That's Arnold, who's supposed to be dead.
Right, yeah, that's true. That is a little bit of a hole in that theory right there. So, okay.
Maybe he's just a huge investor.
Oh, a money man.
Yeah. He looks like a money man.
Doesn't
he?
He does.
Ugh. He's like, probably got some really disappointing kids that he hoped would take over his empire. And once he realized that they were going to do no such thing, he was like, I'm retiring at fucking WestWorld, peace. And just let that shit implode behind him. Oh, I'm a disaster. I'm sorry, guys. So what do I want is really, I want the Man in Black, and I want to know what the fuck everybody's reaction is to Dolores shooting that guy and being able to, I feel like I am not sure what kind of, like, they're able to see what's happening when they zero in on that guy climbing up the rocks. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they have cameras inside the buildings. Like, I would assume that they do. They do, right? Because they have the film of that guy talking to himself inside that. Yep. So they're going to be able to see what happened, unless whoever's talking in her head has access to footage and can do shit, which maybe they do. But because I don't know if that's like a person or a bot or a woke bot. Right.
It was a woke bot.
You can hit me up on Twitter at wokebot. He's woke bays.
Oh my god.
Woke bays artificial intelligence parallel. But yeah, I feel like it kind of hinges for me, like my theories are going to hinge on whether they see what she did.
Okay.
If they can zero in on that and figure out that something's going wrong with her, or if Bernard might step in and hide that shit because he doesn't want anybody to know. Mm-hmm. Because he likes to see what's going on.
Yeah. He says something like, let's see where this path takes us.
Yeah.
So he would just be down to watch it happen.
Because her shooting somebody when she's not even supposed to be able to pull a trigger is a huge deal. Mm-hmm. Like, she could kill a person. Right. And apparently, if I think Bernard is willing to cover that up, he's willing to sacrifice a person. Which could cost him his fucking job.
Yeah.
Which, watch out, Bernard. Because you got nothing else, apparently, right. So...
And, the voices, especially when because she's not able to shoot until the voices kill him.
Right. That's true.
So, I guess, do you have any... Well, you already said that you think maybe it's Ford, so...
I think it's, like, or it could be... I don't know.
I just wanted to see how long you would go.
It could be Bernard, but it just doesn't feel like his style. I think what's fascinating him is that he thinks this is happening organically right now. Because he's talking about evolution. So it really would undermine it to just have him whispering in her ear to do shit. You know, like, I don't feel like that would hold the same satisfaction for him.
Right.
So I don't feel like this is him. If it is, I'll be a little disappointed.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Oh, and there was a notification that I got on Twitter. Erin Limmers, I think is how you say her Twitter handle, wrote, listening to Unspoiled show covering Westworld and Natasha Writing's impression of Knickerbocker Boy has got me like, and then she posted Ryan Gosling giggling and covering his mouth gif. And I was like, I just retweeted it with, what does this mean? In all caps. And she wrote back, it was so hilariously perfect, I almost pulled my car over. I was laughing so hard. So thanks for taunting me, Erin. I don't know what that means. But yeah, I'm excited to see how excited everybody is about the show. Because I'm getting a lot of people just being like, oh my God, I'm so excited that you're covering this, which is really fun. And I want to let y'all know now, Rashawn and I were talking about this earlier tonight, and I posted a poll in the patrons group, which that's a perk of being a patron, is that I ask your opinion on shit. If people wanted us to cover season 2 as it came out, because we will be finishing this season right when season 2 starts coming out. And I wasn't sure if people would rather that we cover it immediately because they wanted their fix, or if they wanted us to cover it the way we've been and have us wait while Rashawn watches the show week by week, and then we cover it with her spoiled again. And the patrons pretty overwhelmingly actually voted for the latter. They said that the story is complex enough that it really matters that there be somebody who's spoiled to direct the conversation a little bit. And that's what makes Unspoiled special, is that one of the people is spoiled, and that's like part of the draw, and that there are tons and tons of other shows out there where both people are unspoiled, and we'd just be like one of dozens, which is true. So Rashawn and I have resolved that we are going to finish this season, do the patrons only Harry Potter reread for book 4, and once book 4 is over, come back and do season 2. And so, those of you who are listening now, once you get to the end of this season, do me a favor and don't message me 600 times going, but are you going to do season 2 though? But are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Because season 2 is coming out soon. I don't know if you knew that. It's coming out. Like, it's coming out like really soon. I know. We know. It's okay. Just calm down. It's in hand. We have a plan. It will be great. Just be cool, everybody. Just chill out. So that's our plan. Stan.
All right, we're done here.
We're done. So yeah, guys, if you'd like to pledge and support the show, if you've been enjoying it and feel like what we do is valuable and that we're adding something good to the world and to your day, you should go to patreon.com/unspoiled, because you may notice that my podcasts do not have advertisements in them. And that is because I hate them and they are terrible. And when I listen to podcasts that have ads in them, I get really unreasonably annoyed. They deserve to have ads. People need to make a goddamn living. And yet I get so mad about it that I just can't bear to do it to somebody else, even though I also need to make a living. And
it's quite the spot you've put yourself in.
I'm trying to make this as straightforward as I can. If you don't want ads, which I don't, why would you? Just give me money. No big deal. It's fine. It's really simple. Just go to patreon.com/unspoiled and give me some money. And the more people who do that, the more I won't have ads. Does that make sense? Because, there will come a point where if I stall out and I haven't started to, like, get more patrons, I'm going to have to be like, all right, I guess I'm going to do an ad. But I don't want to get to that point. You don't want me to get to that point. And we do, for $3 and up patrons, a monthly cocktail hour live on YouTube where you guys can, like, jump in and chat in the chat box and talk to us and ask us questions. And, like, $3 a month. And you get to hang out with us and support the show. And it's basically like if once a month you met up with me at a bar and bought me the cheapest drink the bar had. Right?
Basically. Because I'm not sure what you're getting for $3.
You're getting like a Natty Light or like a Pabst. And I'm going to be honest. You bought me a Pabst. I'm not drinking that thing. I'll take your $3 though.
Are you too good for PBR? Is that what you're saying?
It's nasty. It tastes like pennies.
It is terrible.
Oh, it's so bad.
It is terrible. I mean, I'll drink it if it's there. But it is terrible.
That was like one of the first beers I ever tried because it's so cheap in college that's what they always would get. And I was just like, apparently I hate beer. And I didn't try another one for years.
I swear to God, every time I go to a show with Steve, any kind of like hardcore show, and you go backstage and you hang out, it's always fucking PBR. It's such a cliche, but it's also cheap as fuck.
It's super cheap.
It's always the beer that's back there.
And I get it if you want to get fucked up and you just want something cheap.
And
like,
you want to feel terrible about your
up,
life.
just get liquor, though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand the draw of getting drunk on beer when it makes you feel like full and bloated on top of drunk. I would rather just have a clean, quick drunk of vodka or something.
You know what? I'm not, no. I can't listen to you counsel people on how to get drunk.
I'm not counseling. I'm just saying what my preference is.
I mean, like, you know who could counsel me on how to get drunk? Mary Richter.
Oh, Mary is good at that. I was thinking about the two of you today when it was the last day of our trip and you both just were like holding on to each other outside the hotel, like laugh crying about how great it was. And I miss you already.
Oh my God. It was so much fun. She's the best. She's the fucking best.
Guys, for those of you without any context, we did a meetup with some Harry Potter listeners at Universal Studios. And Mary Richter is a longtime listener and patron. And she was one of the people there. We had a good group, actually, that turned out for the meetup.
Yeah.
And she and Rashawn hit it off famously, as
we
they
really
say.
did. She posted today that she's in San Francisco and she was looking for recommendations. And I was like, I recommend it next time you bring me. Anyway.
But yeah, right. So guys, buy me a drink for $3 once a month and come and hang out with me and like bullshit and support the show and keep it ad free and just be awesome. That's all I'm asking is just be awesome, which you are. So just go ahead with that. All right. We'll see you next week, guys. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.